Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jade and welcome back to the Get Me Off podcast. Amazing. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Get Me Off podcast. We have another amazing guest today. I went into like radio presenter voice and I don't know what that was. I literally did. So hello Rosie, who are you and what do you do?
I am Rosie Parnell and I'm a footballer for Southampton women.
Amazing. I love that. We are going to get into the conversation of the topic of football / women's football and what we call it. But I want to talk a bit more about you first. So we went to school or college or both together? College. Yeah. And I feel like everyone's separated after that. Yeah. Like I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah. And we're nearly 30. Well, are you 30?
I'll be 30 next year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Same year. We're getting old.
I know.
We are getting old. But how did you get into it? Like, I didn't know you as like a footballer back in the day. Do you know what I mean? So what was your journey into...
I think when I knew you though, it was just a hobby, wasn't it? Like it wasn't anything other than that. No, I just copied my brother really. Like he used to play with his mates and in a team and I just used to be annoying and just wanted to do everything he done. So yeah, trained with his team, which my dad was the manager as well for a bit, and then joined the boys team because there wasn't many girls teams.
Really?
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was in year 4, so I don't know how old you are.
Oh, that's what, like 7 or something
like that? Yeah, 7, 8 maybe.
Yeah.
And then, so I went to school one day and I was like, I'm coming training with you boys, and they were like, what? And like took the mick out of me, but then I ended up being all right, so they accepted me in the end.
They were like, oh, you can stay.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were terrible though.
I know. I think I would have got bullied, but no, it was good. So yeah, started with the boys.
That's so cool. Do you think had there been a women's team or girls team, I guess, at that stage, you would have been more inclined to join? Do you think more girls would have been inclined to join it?
Yeah, probably. Like if there was girls teams, I probably naturally would have gone to play for a girls team, but I actually think, probably didn't appreciate it back then, but I think playing with the boys has probably done me the world of good because like physically it's slightly different, and then probably mentally as well, like the amount of parents that give us stick because I was on the team or me personally and stuff, like so it's kind of like
at the time? Yeah,
at the time, like I've always had to like prove a point, like yeah, I'm a girl, but like I'm better than your son sort of thing, like so yeah,
I bet the parents hated that, didn't they?
Yeah, so yeah, it's probably a good thing to be fair.
Yeah. So when you were in college and things like that, did you foresee like playing for a very well-known team? Was that like your goal, or was it just kind of like, oh no, I'll take this as a hobby and I'll see where it goes?
Yeah.
Because when we were younger, this is like 10 years ago-ish.
It's so different.
It was very different. There wasn't like, it wasn't on TV, it wasn't in magazines, it wasn't in adverts and stuff like that.
I've always played for academies, but even like, I played with the boys basically until I was probably 11, because I think after under 11s, like you weren't allowed to play with the boys anymore.
Okay.
Like, that was just a rule. I think now they've changed it to like under 16s.
Yeah.
So then I went to the girls' academy, which I was there for probably 2 or 3 years, and then moved on to like Reading Academy, etc. But like when I was getting closer to like 15, 16, like senior sort of level, like there were no teams that were full time. Like it wasn't anyone's job other than in America.
Yeah. So it's very hard to see a career in something that basically doesn't exist.
Yeah, I never really did. And then even because teams have probably been full time in this country for maybe like 6-7 years.
Yeah. But
But
your
yeah,
team hasn't. Southampton hasn't.
I probably never saw myself as doing it. So yeah, probably a few years ago when I saw that it was going to be realistic with Southampton, it was, I don't know, like just meant a lot because I never thought it would be me and I never thought I'd get there. So
that's amazing though. But it must have been such a nice feeling after a while of being like, oh my God, actually something that I enjoy. This could be something more.
Definitely. And like even working, so like when I was playing part-time, it was still intense. Like the training was still 3 times a week, like, and then working along, like I was literally working from 9 o'clock in the morning, going straight to training and getting home at like midnight.
Oh my God.
And then your weekends, obviously, all like playing games and stuff. Like it was still a lot of my time. Like it was intense doing a full-time job with part-time football.
Wow.
And I think like the younger girls now coming through don't see that side that some of us have had to do.
So they won't have to do that, I guess.
No, like girls come through now in the academy and they're straight into full-time football.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know, like I'm just grateful because I think I appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, because you did. I guess you did have to graft for it a little bit more, didn't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's sort of,
definitely.
it's one of those things. It's like, and you get this in so many different industries. It's like when you become part of the movement, you almost resent the people underneath you that don't have to do that. But that's the reason why you did it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I did it and I went through all of that so
Yeah.
that everybody else didn't have to. But also, I hate you because I didn't have to,
Yeah.
because you didn't have to.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But it is like, it is in a good way. And for you personally, seeing how football and women's football and however you want to call it, which is what we'll get onto, seeing how it's changed and seeing how it's become so much bigger and people getting more involved, like, how does that feel? Like, to then look up and be like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is crazy. Even like the last 3-4 years, like it's grown massively. And I think in the next 10 years, like I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, it's just really nice to see. But I think the more investment, the bigger it will get.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think it's all of it? Because it feels like overnight it's become such a huge thing.
Yeah, I think it's just more visible now, and it has to be visible for people to be able to watch it. Whereas before, they didn't have the investment to then make it visible.
Yeah.
And now that's there. So
It's like someone has to spark it to say like, well, here's the money, we'll give it a go, that kind of thing.
It's like a risk at the beginning, and even now, like clubs will probably be losing money on their women's side, but I think later on they'll have the rewards from it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I'm coming to the game. I mentioned this earlier to you. I'm coming to the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, which is exciting. This will be my first women's game that I've been to. I know. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Like, hopefully, record attendance for us.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's like I'm a Saints fan, so like walking out at St Mary's in front of 12,000 people will probably be quite special.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
I'll be up there like, woohoo, go Rosie. Like the little embarrassing mum in the corner. That would be like, I know her. Oh, that would be funny. But okay, so let's get on to the topic in terms of what it's called. Now, I wanted to make a point of not necessarily calling it women's football, because I feel like a lot of people use that in like a derogatory way in terms of saying like, it's not real football, it's women's football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you said something different in that actually, yes, it is different anyway.
Yeah.
But also it can be described differently. I don't know. Tell me how you feel about that.
I think it's really good that people from the outside want to class it as the same thing. Like, I think that's a positive thing if you're saying it in a positive way.
Yeah.
But I think people compare it too much, like
to men's.
Yeah, people compare the men's game to the women's game, and actually it's different in terms of the physical side and the technical side. It's going to be different. Like people will say, oh, a women's player can't play in a men's team. No, they can't.
Yeah.
Like, that is the reality of it, and that's why it's different. And even you go to women's games and the fans are sat together, like, it's just a different atmosphere. It's more of like a family sort of atmosphere, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's a tough one, because I can see why we want it to be the same thing, but I think there's reasons why
it is technically different.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you watch, like, I've watched so many women's games on TV.
Yeah.
And it is completely different to the men's games.
Yeah.
Like the tactics, the speed, like everything is different. And it's not to say one is better than the other.
Yeah.
It is just different.
But I think as well, like, the men's games had so much money in it for so long, like they're going to have that extra boost in terms of like the physical side, whereas the women's game's still growing. Like, some of us have only been like full-time footballers for like 2 years, so it's I just think it's very different. But as you say, it's nice that it's now becoming something where that is a talking point. Like, do we call it women's football or do we call it just football? Like, that never would have been a talking point before, because it would have been like, what, women playing football? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even now, like, just it's normal for kids to go and play football, whereas when I was growing up, like, people are like, why can't you come out on the weekend? Oh, because you're playing football. Like, whereas it's so much more normal now, and girls can just go and play football and feel comfortable. Yeah,
definitely, which is amazing. And do you feel like a pressure almost to kind of pave the way for the younger generation to be like, yeah, I can do this? Like, when you see, like, when you walk around at the end of a game and you see all these like little girls and boys like screaming,
Yeah, it's weird because when I'm just at training and stuff, like, and just me being me, like, I just feel like I go and play football because I feel like that's been what I've done for so long. And then it's only really at the games and, like, maybe on social media that you realise that actually you are inspiring young kids. And, like, yeah, you do just forget. But, yeah, I just think it's really important. And that's the other part of the women's game. Like, we have so much more time because we do get less fans there. We have more time to spend with the fans, and at the end, like, we go and speak to kids, and I think that's a big part of, we are inspiring them, whereas the men's, because there's 30 odd thousand people in a stadium, like, they can't go and inspire those children, and it's not a bad thing, like, they're not doing anything wrong, it's just
different.
Yeah,
it is just different. And like you say, it's a different atmosphere. They might not necessarily want to walk up to the side because I mean, I've been to many a men's games. I worked at the stadium for ages, and it's, the atmosphere is different, and it's like people get a bit more drunk and things like that. And as you say, it's not necessarily so family orientated. And I've seen, I mean, even from just working there, I've seen like people trying to hassle the men's players and stuff like that. And I feel like that brutal. doesn't really happen with.
Yeah, I think it will come in the women's game. The higher up you go, it will come in. But yeah, it's definitely just not as brutal, I'd say.
Which is great for you guys.
Yeah.
That's really good. So in terms of like what your schedule and everything is like, now it's full time, do you look after yourselves as much, like, as do you get given like meal plans, or like what is it actually like to be a footballer?
Yeah, so like, we're at the training ground quite a lot, so a lot of our food's provided to us. So I have breakfast and lunch every day I'm there, and then on a match day we'll have like food before we travel, then food on the coach, then like food after. So it's quite easy for us to be good, if that makes sense, because
it's given to you.
Yeah, it's given to us. And then we have like nutritionists and stuff for like advice, but I think you kind of know what you should be eating. It's quite easy, like, I've always been quite good with it, so but the help is there if you need it. So yeah.
Something I find interesting as well is like, so I injured my knee recently during figure skating, and obviously all the sports and stuff I do are only part-time, they're only hobby. I used to do them more professionally than I do now, but I don't anymore. And what I find crazy is how much, like, well, I guess it's not crazy, but it's one of those things, like, you get so many more options to better your body and better your health. Whereas like someone that just does it as a hobby will never get that. And that, I find that like crazy. Like, I had to wait, got months and months and months to be able to get an MRI to even tell me what's wrong with it. Without even then moving on to fixing it. And that was like weeks ago, and I haven't even had a physio appointment yet. And it's like, it's not, like, it's quite a bad injury. Like, if I was like your level footballer, I would have been in and out of surgery in like 2 weeks. So it's crazy. I just, like, I find it so different. Do you kind of see the difference in that? Like, is it nice to have that at your disposal?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate. Obviously, like, Southampton are great, like, in terms of if we ever any injuries or operations or scans or anything like that, obviously, like, we're fully covered and it's dealt with really quickly.
Wait, are your legs insured? Do you have like leg insurance? Isn't that a thing?
I don't know. No, I don't think I'm worth that much.
I don't know why. I remember someone telling me that like their legs were insured or something like that.
Thought, maybe some really famous men's player, but no, certainly not mine. But like, if you just go down like one league below us, where they're part-time and they don't get paid, they'd be in your position.
Oh, really? The same?
Yeah, and that's literally just a league lower.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what league are you guys? Explain to me like the league system.
Yeah, so there's the Women's Super League, which is the top league, and then we're in the Championship.
Okay.
And then below us is like the National League, and then that splits off into regions, like as it goes lower down the tiers. So the Women's Super League is all full-time, like that is a requirement, you have to be full-time. The Championship you don't have to be, but I think majority of the clubs, if not all, are now full-time, whether that's a hybrid model or like an actual full-time model like we've got. And then, National League's all part-time.
But I guess it would be difficult to compete with teams that are full-time if your team is not full-time. So I feel like once you were in that league and if say 60-70% of the other teams are full-time, you'd already be at a loss if you weren't.
Yeah, which is why I think most of the teams now, like, it only took a few teams in the Championship to go full-time, and then everyone sort of had to follow suit, because otherwise you just can't compete.
Definitely. And to get up into the Super League?
Yeah.
There we go, I'm getting this. To get up into the Super League, like how would that make a difference to a team?
So we would have to get, like, only one team goes up each year from the championship.
Only one?
Yeah.
So like
You
not
have to
top
win the league.
one.
Yeah,
you have to win the league. Oh
yeah.
wow, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
Okay.
to go up. And then, although we're full-time and they're all full-time, it's still a big gap. Like, it is a big gap, and you can see the teams that often go up there normally in and around sort of the bottom half of the table to start with, because the jump's quite big. But I think, yeah, it's just down to, like, I guess the clubs to make sure they're sort of ready for that step, and then obviously just staying in the league really, and then working your way up from there.
Wow. And does that come with like other privileges? Like you say, if it was in the league below you guys, then you don't get like the healthcare and that kind of stuff. Does it make another jump again once you go up to the Super League?
Probably not so much that side. I feel like in the championship they're sort of
still on it.
Yeah, that's quite good. It's probably more naturally wages and things like that. But yeah, I'd say.
Does it feel weird that people know who you are as well? Like, did you ever get used to that, or because it must have got more over the last few years as well?
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's not crazy. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like my mum's worse with stuff like that than I am. But yeah, I don't know. I never really think of it like that. I just feel like I just play football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good though, because I think a lot of people get into things, especially stuff in the public eye, for the wrong reasons sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it potentially in a team sport could have a negative effect on the rest of the team. Whereas if you're purely just doing it because you love it, like you can't get more authentic than that.
Yeah, I think as well, like the higher you go, obviously the more following you're going to get, and that's probably there was like not even really good on social media, to be fair. So
I know you don't really use yours for anything like that.
My
do
friends
you?
always have a go at me. They're always like, "You should post more," and I'm like, "No." Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not very good at it.
But also, if you don't have the desire to do that and to like, it's just because you just want to play football, right?
Like I know that, so like a lot of the girls will use their platforms and stuff, which I think is great. But yeah, I don't know, like just not really social media guru, if that's what you want to call it. But.
Oh well, but it doesn't have to be like that, does it?
No, yeah, I don't think so. I can see why people do it.
Yeah.
Like obviously you've got a platform, like use it. But yeah, it's just not really my strongest point, to be fair.
And how is it in terms of like with the other players and stuff like that and the other teams? I know in like a lot of the men's teams, they move around a lot.
Yeah.
So then they end up playing either against people that were their teammates or with people that they used to be against and like all of this kind of stuff, and it moves around a lot. Is it kind of the same in the women's game, or is it a bit different?
Yeah, in the women's game, it's probably shorter contracts, to be fair.
Yeah. So you would move around more?
Yeah, or I don't know, not necessarily that, but I guess you're not like some men's contracts like 7 years, but you wouldn't really see that in the women's game very often. So yeah, I guess potentially like moving around more, but I don't know, it's just one of those things. I feel like everyone does know everyone in the women's game in terms of like you've got the international side and stuff, and people go away and then they play with people from other clubs and stuff like that. So
yeah, this is true. This is true. But it must be nice to sort of mix. I always find that weird, like how you switch off from being like friends with someone to like, no, I literally have to slide tackle you right now.
Yeah.
I find that strange. Like how do you afterwards be like, oh, I'm sorry? I would be.
Yeah. I think you just got to understand, like, just leave everything on the pitch sort of thing.
Yeah. So there's like a mental barrier in between the two.
Yeah. Like, no friends on the pitch unless they're on your own team, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But, yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be like if I was marking my friend, I wouldn't be chatting to them like during the game. I'd probably be giving them a bit of stick, to be fair.
Oh, wow.
Hoping they're all right after.
So then like afterwards, do you go up and you're like, oh my God, hi,
but I wouldn't,
sorry.
I wouldn't be able to chat to them. I don't know, like I just wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. I guess you have to mentally stay in that competitive space.
Yeah.
Is it quite difficult? Like, is it quite a lot of pressure when you have like a team such as Southampton? When so many people support that team, do you feel like a pressure to be like, okay, well, we have to win this, we have to do this, we have to do that? Like, is there a pressure in terms of competing?
I'd say probably this year, like we have put pressure on ourselves, like we've said like we want to be successful this year and win the league hopefully. So that's probably pressure itself, but I don't know, like I just think we're quite good at just dealing with it. Like I was at the club when the year that we did get promoted into the championship, and I feel like I've learned probably from that year that you can't think too much of the long term. You just got to think like
next game,
like week by week. Like we've lost more games than we would have wanted to lose, for example. But like you can't get too down on that because football changes overnight. Like,
and it will ruin the next one.
So many things can happen in football. So yeah, it's just week by week, game by game. Like it sounds cliche, but it genuinely is like that.
Yeah, just step by step, take each one. And I guess that's like just in life in general, because I'm very guilty of that, and I look at the long term thing, and then I'm just completely paralyzed from doing anything
short term.
Which is really difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
So obviously there are differences between men and women in general, and men and women's football and sports, like any sports. But I guess a massive topic of conversation is like the bodily functions of women are different, like fundamentally different. Even like men wake up with more testosterone than women do. How does things like that, and like menstrual cycles and stuff like that, does it have an effect on it? Like how is that like internally? Because you get all these adverts and stuff of people being like, oh, I can. And like they show them doing like some crazy spin or something on ice, like for an always ad. But like we as women know that we don't feel like that every single day, especially during a cycle. Like it's not that, we don't feel like that.
I feel like as well, like everyone's different. So they say at each stage you should feel like, etc. But I might feel like more tired the week before, or someone might feel tired the week of. Like, it's very different, it's very individual, and I think that's what people need to realise. But also like the injury risk.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Does it make a difference?
Yeah, so there's lots of studies and things that say like I think your joints are more lax. So like if your joints are more lax, obviously you're more at risk of injury.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I think it's really important. We're quite good, like we have a well-being every day, so the club know like our cycles and stuff, so they do keep track of it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Can you see, like, from being around everyone at different times, can you visibly see a difference in people sometimes?
I think a lot
like, do you know when you need to like pick up the slack for someone almost in a way?
I think sometimes because we're together like a lot of the time, like a lot of hours in a day, sometimes you can pick up maybe on people's moods. Which obviously luckily we're all female, so we all understand each other, so it's not too bad. But I think in terms of the physical side, it's more how you feel. So I might not necessarily know how the person next to me's body's feeling. But yeah, it's just understanding your own, I think, and being honest. Like there might be a week where you can't lift as heavy, or there might be a week that you can lift heavier. So it's just understanding that and eating the right foods as well. Like different parts of the cycle should eat different like foods. So like there's like antioxidants, anti-inflammatories. Yeah, there's a lot to it. So the club are really good, to be fair.
That's so cool. So what is this person called? Like, can I hire them? Are they like a menstrual well-being nutritionist?
He's just actually a normal nutritionist, to be fair.
Wow.
But yeah, I've learned a lot. I just never really understood it, like, which is quite bad from a female. Like I've just got on with it.
But I don't feel like we're told. Like I don't know any of this
stuff. I didn't
stuff.
understand it.
No. Yeah. And this is what I mean from like being in a position where that is taken care of and that is like high priority. I'm sure so many people would benefit from like knowing things like this, but it's not general knowledge. No,
it's not.
And that infuriates me.
It's just such a taboo thing, isn't it? Like
but it shouldn't be.
Yeah, like to be fair, our physio is male, but he's actually really like he's quite good with it. He's quite understanding. With it. So like, whereas some like males could be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that.
How funny. How weird. Okay, so what's like one nutrition tip that you've learned?
Lots of berries.
Really?
Because they're anti-inflammatories.
So like blueberries,
strawberries, raspberries.
Wow. Yeah. Never knew this. Well, there you go, tip of the day.
I just hope I'm right. No, I'm joking.
Can you imagine if it was like, no, absolutely the complete opposite? No. Oh, wow. No, I
Yeah.
genuinely didn't know that. And I guess when I mentioned about the adverts and things like that, are there genuine, I don't know if this is too personal, but are there genuine products that are good enough for female athletes? Or is it something that needs to be like a massive, like that needs to be better in general? Because it's not like you are in the public eye. And there was that whole thing with Wimbledon about women not wearing white shorts underneath.
Yeah.
And they can choose whether they do or don't wear them, whether they're comfortable. And I think that's a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
But obviously behind that is whether the products that women are using in general are good enough for athletes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite fortunate, like I'm not overly heavy, so I probably never really had to worry about that. But even with like the short colours, like it's the same in football. So a lot of clubs will now not allow their women to wear white shorts. We're quite lucky. Most of our shorts are quite dark, so don't really have that problem. But I think if I was wearing white shorts, I'd probably still
just even feel slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's me not having a heavy cycle.
Yeah, definitely. Do you wear like shorts under your shorts?
Yeah, I do, but not everyone does. Like it's So I probably have that extra level of comfort. Yeah. To be fair, but
that is also a choice as well, so people can choose.
But I just do it all the time. Like that's not a like cycle related thing that I do. Like I just do it all the time. So, but yeah, some people don't, and I don't know. Like, I think if I was on my period, I'd be a bit more.
You'd want to put, definitely.
And again, I'm not heavy, so.
Yeah, especially because you literally have people watching you. Like they are there to watch you. Yeah. So it's not like if you're just walking through an office or something, you're like, oh, get away with that. Like quickly run to the toilet. It's not like you are literally being watched.
Yeah, and like a game, we turn up at say an hour and a half before kickoff. And then, you've got the kickoff, and obviously the game's like 2 hours, so that's quite a long time. Like, you have obviously choices to go to the toilet, but sometimes you're so in that mindset
that you just continue.
Like, I've had a game quite recently, to be fair, and I'm like, oh God, like, and I was probably quite close. Yeah. But it's because, I've gone for a wee, but like, that's not in my...
You're not in that mindset.
No, because I'm just quickly, like, you're normally in a rush, like, you're coming from the warm-up and you've got like 5 minutes. Yeah. So and then everyone's queuing for the toilet, so it is a long time.
You're just all queuing, stood there in low football boots, like, come on.
So it is,
What's random question to finish off. What is one of the, like, weird rituals that someone, like, you don't have to name who they are, like, is there a weird ritual that someone has to do, like, before a game, or that you all do before a game?
I'm probably actually the most superstitious person in our team, but like I vary. So like if we won and I felt good, I'd have the same dinner again, but then if that didn't work, I'd change it. So I'm not always like, I change a lot based upon. Yes. Does that make sense?
Based upon what worked last time.
Yeah, but like one thing I always do is, like, I come in from the warm up, and even if my boots feel okay, I'll untie them and tie them again.
Wow.
I've always done it.
And you can't, like, it would feel weird not to do that.
Yeah, like I'd be thinking something's going to happen if I don't untie and tie my laces.
Wow. And the thing is, you never want to test whether your superstition is correct or not, because the time that you don't do it, you'll be like, oh, damn it.
But if I pick up on little things and like, we won or something, I will then try and do it the next week. But then if it goes wrong, apart from my boots is something that I always do.
I love that. I'm all into I call it woo-woo witchy stuff, and I'm all into it, and I love it. Like, if that was me and I was on the team and someone was in a bad mood, I would be like saging their kit. Like, no, none of that. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
It's all right. Thanks for having me.
I've learned stuff. I literally learn stuff every time I have a guest on. It's amazing. This is like, I'm just going to keep these for me. But thank you so much. Where can people find you if you want to give your social media? How many games have you got left in this season? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're halfway through our season. Play our games at St Mary's. So,
See you on Thursday.
Yeah, see you on Thursday. But my social media is just my name, really, so easy, but I don't really post a lot, so you probably won't see too much.
I'm going to bring a big sign that says, I love you, Rosie. Just wave it like this. You'll be like, for God's sake.
Signature, please.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching or wherever you found it. And we will see you in the next episode.